Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, there's some bad news and some good news. The bad news is that Senthil has a very urgent family requirement, so he couldn't come. So you'll miss Dr. Senthil's wisdom, but I'm there. I'm Dr. Devashish Bhattacharya. So we will carry out, I'll just present my presentation, and then we will come to interactions and whatever your questions are. So that is the good part of the news. We have more time to discuss, which is more important for sessions like this. And we have a young practice here who has just started practicing, so I've asked him, and he will be there to address. And Ranabir Bhattacharya, who also is the CFO of Disha, so he'll also be there to address any questions that you have. So, opportunities galore. There are a lot of opportunities, and I'm serious about it because, in the next 20 years, I mean, you're born the very right time, you young guys, because this is where, the India, you get started. If you compare, it is just like 2008 China. Same GDP, same population, only that we have to do it right. If we do it right, we'll be there. So, all these points like the demographic, of course, the diversity and inequity will come to that. That is an advantage, we being a democratic country, therefore. And of course, it's becoming a multilateral world, the China plus China 2, all kind of things where India is increasingly becoming globally important. And of course, the last line is important. The minimalistic way of doing things, especially with young practices, because that is your space. That is what you can govern. So, just see, in India, what is there. Now, this is a very interesting slide. We have a Singapore with its population and its GDP per capita, whatever you want to see. We have a Poland, we have a Mexico, we have a Philippines, we also have Pakistan, and the bottom line, the entire sub-Saharan Africa. So this is the composition of the country, and this is unequally distributed amongst the various states. If you see, this is an industry slide which is pre-COVID, but I think, the more or less patterns have maintained. Maybe there will be some about 5-10% shift to the Indian hydrophobic from the Indian hydrophilic segment, and the same for PMMA also. But these are industry figures, fairly reliable. See, 35 lakhs of the 65, 50%, which is the sub-Saharan Africa group, that goes to, because you have very good statistics around this. But there are 7-8 major players in the market, and if you follow them and you ask them for stats, they compete with each other also. So this is, there's no you shouldn't have any misconception about the context that you want to practice in. So I think this slide is clear. Anywhere you have any questions, since we have time, just say, sir, stop, I didn't understand this, or what is this? You can always do that. Now, this is again the distribution. Like, you cannot compare Delhi with even Maharashtra and West Bengal with maybe Bihar. So these are the diversities that you can place yourself. But again, as youngsters, I would tell you that you are free to choose the state of your choice. Don't just get that I'm from this state, I have some advantage. There are many people. Partho Bishwas, he's one of the topmost practice in Kolkata. He's not from Kolkata. So I'm giving you big examples because he's the Vice President, Chairman Scientific, so you will be knowing him. Now see how true it works for a bigger scale operations. Like in Disha, we do 1 lakh paid surgeries every year. Now, just see how over the years from 97 till date, I mean, this slide is up to 21. I think this figure of 18,000 has gone to 24,000 now. So, what it tells us that patients would be spending about a month's income for cataract surgery, or maybe a little more. Now, how does this disparity come? You know, when you see GDPs and nominal GDPs, these are all assumptive figures. You know, there's no actually the expenditure data probably is which has come out very recently. So there you can have some engagement with your survey. You can ask, do you have a fridge? Do you have this? Do you have that? Or if you ask somebody his income, nobody's going to disclose that. So, you know, these are all very indirect figures. Just imagine, you know, a homemaker's contribution to the economy is probably not recorded. And the female engagement in the population, since there are 5 female audiences, I take the female engagement in India is in employment is very low. See, you know, if a woman were to work in a formal arrangement, that itself, there would be another informal engagement, employment at home to do her work. So in that case, you know, the GDP goes up. So if you ask, you know, why this thumb rule of per capita or per month expenditure towards cataract surgery, I mean, this is a joint thing that we did with Aravind Eye Care system, and we came to this conclusion that in the community that you are serving or you're working, you can keep this thumb rule, which is fairly safe, and a per capita per day can be your expenses in the OPD. That would be a very reasonable access point. Otherwise, it hits the patient and the cost itself becomes a barrier. Now, obviously, Senthil told me to tell you about the technological advances. I would say, you know all of them, but clinically speaking, please focus on torics. The Indian torics are good and give excellent results. So if you want any feedback, if you are not doing refractives, if you are in northern or southern India, eastern India, I don't know, not in Kolkata, you can do phakic IOLs because it doesn't need, and the IPCLs and the biotech phakic IOLs are excellent, and you don't need any instruments. So it is not popular because people who have an excimer would like to promote the excimer. That is why it's not as popular. So, but everybody can do a phakic IOL. So all other things, like obviously even if you at some stage of your practice do aim to buy an optical biometer, because that emmetropia thing is very important, and even for toric lenses, and you can use Indian these trifocal lenses. They are very, very good. There are 2-3 companies, excellent results. So, and of course, engage in more comprehensive examination. Like we've tried out with this vision centers, which has an OCT. Now see, it gives you, the doctor here can have a it has got a scanning laser thing, which is actually used for fixation, but it gives fundus photographs like this, which can be used to explain patients, red free also. And then you have the OCT macula, and then an anterior segment, like if you just focus a little bit, you can even see cataracts and everything. This is for a technician or an optometrist in a remote location with an OCT. So, and you can gauge the angle. So, I mean, most of the diseases are covered in this one comprehensive test. And well, if you charge 500 rupees, I'm telling you, if you're doing 20 patients in that vision center with the sale of spectacles, you are break even. You are break even, maybe even profitable, because the rents in those places are very low. So this is a good thing. Again, you know, when you see the this is, if you compare with the Western world, there is in fact almost one injection for one cataract surgery. But here, see, we are doing what, this is 1920, before COVID. The after COVID statistics would be about 30-40. It's growing, like it's growing at almost 25%. So it's growing at 25%. These revenue figures are available with me, but bevacizumab is coming down because ranibizumab is becoming more popular, the Indian thing. But do understand, incorporate medical retina in your practice. This is absolutely mandatory. So this has been our anti-VEGF figures. So if you see, you know, the growth post-COVID also, even in COVID it didn't go down. Though people could not come, but even in COVID it did not go down. And so we give 23,000 injections, but we do 1 lakh cataract surgery. So we have 4 times more to go, because now we have started, you know, the loading dose stuff and explaining the patients, switched over to more Indian and affordable area, and that is how you can actually do that. Now, see, always keep, what do you make of this slide? Nothing. Sometimes, you know, most practices look like this. I go to a friend, he pulls up his drawer, somebody's come for the payment for the washing machine, it goes from there. Then the vendor comes for the intraocular lens, that also goes from there. The patient fees or the surgical fees also goes there. So what is it? He doesn't know what is practice. At the end of the day, there is some money, and that is his income. So this way things don't work. So you need to like have, this is our total figures. So we can practice it, and we can show you by, you know, branches. I will, in fact, in discussions, we can pick up a small branch, the smallest of our branches, because that will be closest to your practice, and you can follow that. This is too elaborate because it's the entire Disha group. So what do we compare here? We compare the consistency of the advice by the doctor. Is the doctor over-advising? So there is a standard practice, like, you know, 1 in 15, 7% is the conversion of the number of patients. So if you are seeing 100 patients, 7 patients will convert to cataract surgery. So maybe, you know, and our compliance ratio is around, say, 70% on an average. But if the doctor is over-advising, maybe he will be advising, say, 7%, and 7 surgeries he should be advising, is advising 15. But at the end of the day, probably he is getting 7, But what is going wrong is 8 patients are going away with an advice for cataract surgery, and वो तो वहाँ जाने से तो बस आँख में लेंस ही लगाते हैं. So that reputation also doesn't help. So all this comes from the financial things. What is the compliance? If there is a doctor's advice rate is good, but the compliance is bad, then there's something, we need to work with the doctor and the counselor to find out what is wrong and figure it out. So follow your patient always, and follow your previous month, the year before, in all these parameters. These are very important. Then the dropout to follow-ups. The patient did not come for follow-ups. Then the second eye conversions. There are thumb rules to it. Our is about 30%. Vision at operation is a very good guide, Is even a guide to the scale of your the surgical work, quality of surgical work you are doing. The patients are agreeing at 6.966 vision. Then you must understand that you're doing good work. And most of the patients you'll understand, but initially it's tough. How do you get patients? We will talk as we discuss. Then of course when it is a group practice, always keep for other reasons. I mean, maybe you are the best of friends and you agreed to do a group practice, but keep a audio visual device in the inquiry, in the surgical fixation. It might so happen that your friend comes and says, "यार मेरा patient आपके पास चला गया." तो बोले, "ये कौन patient?" Just follow on the PID. There'll be a reference to when this appointment was given. So how did the patient come to you? What was the conversation, over phone or in person? And you follow that and it's clear between both of you. So these teeny-miny things, should not create, controversies as with your, because today with these startups and the entire ecosystem around it, financial agreements and deals and lawyers are absolutely clear. Don't hesitate to affiliate. At your stage, it is very important that you affiliate with. Single practice may not work and you may not have the resources to do it. So any kind of affiliation, just put a financial thing to it and agreement to it, and the other things agree upon. And another thing I would share with you, that whenever you go for any big affiliation, collaboration, merger, whatever it is, do take your better half's opinion. Because most of the conflicts, they don't start in the workplace, it starts at home. Then of course there are government initiatives and you should be doing that. Like last year's disbursement was I think about 20,000 crores for so this is the broad figure. So but in our state we don't have Ayushman Bharat, we have Shastro Shati, and of course cataract is not covered in Shastro Shati, so there are good and bad sides of it. There are other state government schemes like the West Bengal government schemes and every other, but please understand that going forwards, today Ronnie, our entire facilitated care across all must be how much? 32%? In the city how much is it? 50. So in the city it is 50, but we have hospitals in districts which are even agricultural districts. So they are the insurance and obviously government employees, CGHS, CCH, all this is all this comes down, corporates. But in the city, imagine every second person would be a facilitated patient. That means has some form of facilitation. So, and then IRDA and now this even the court has said that you don't have to bother. Insurance is separate, and your clinic, your hospital or practice is separate. Anybody who's been cleared of regulations, he has a CMOH license, clinical license, they can actually, can you stop this because I'm the only person. So all these facilitated care are there. Now, this is an important slide, like how much would you, what are the equipments, or how much would you start investing for your first initial practice? If your capex, like if you have invested 4 crores, then by the end of third year, you should be having a revenue of 4 crores. It is as simple. So that is what the capex is 100, then the revenue should be 100 in 3 years. Now, how does it go around? Equipment and infrastructure, whether it is a rented property or a constructed property, because for other reasons, if it is a constructed property, there are many ways of looking at the investment in equipment, investment in infrastructure, because you buy a flat, a better flat could be available to you on rent, but you buy a flat because, oh, I have a flat or apartment. So that is an asset also. Whether you will include it in your scheme of things or you want to keep it separate, many people also keep it separate. So in that case, you can just put equipments. In that case, you can slash that 20. It will come down to 7, 8. So of that 100, how is it distributed? Consumables are 20 for sure. And that's constant all over the country. Staff, 10% can vary. In a higher place, like in Mumbai or Delhi, the staff cost will be higher, whereas in West Bengal or in Calcutta, it will be a little lower. So consultants, again, I think rural consultants or semi-urban consultants are more, we give 10% more to our doctors who work in the district. We have a fee for service structure, I'll come to that. And and surplus is 20. So this is a kind of a 20 rule. So this is simply remembered. Now what happens if you do 50? Now if you do 50, the 20 is gone. The surplus 20 is gone. So maintenance you can cut short a little bit. Staff you can keep them part-time, because if you are doing that less, so you can save maybe staff 5. So consumables will definitely be low, because if you are doing 50, then consumable will be 10. So again you save something. So up to 50 is manageable. So if you are, don't be very technical people make this mistake, एक बार बनाएंगे, अच्छा बनाएं, वो खरीद ले, ये खरीद ले. Don't do that. Just think of what you are doing. What is your growth rate of the last 3 years? Where can you go in the next 1, 2, 3 years? So be ad hoc on that basis. It's safer to be ad hoc because we have our own practice tensions and other things. Just taking unnecessary too much of financial burden is probably not right. So this is the flow of, in an average economy place, maybe which is say growing at the India speed, and the economy is at the India level, say that 2.5 lakh per capita. So there, because this doesn't work in Mumbai or in Delhi, because even in those places, even if you see 5 patients, you can charge such fees and such costs of surgeries. There are many patients, doctors, my friends, they say, यार हमें इतना कम surgeries क्यों करते हो? I need not. So they charge 1 lakh for surgery, so 5 कर लेते, 5 लाख हो गया, और इधर उधर ठीक है, 10 लाख हो गया. So they're happy. But that doesn't work in every place, and especially in your case, it's not going to work at all. So because you have to have that kind of a brand level. So essentially, why I say that, don't start a surgery center unless you are seeing 30 patients. It may be disheartening for you because the economics doesn't work. So it is better that you still have a clinic and go to a surgery center for your operations. It may be your friends, it may be investors, whoever, do that thing until you have gone there. Or if you are working in an NGO, having a clinic, so, in the NGO, definitely, try to give more, even in an NGO, you might, they don't pay you maybe even, just बोले सर आप ये तो हमला सेवा है, पेट्रोल के लिए इतना पैसा ले लो. So even there, give your best, because what you are, if you win a patient, if you just treat a patient, that's usual. Patient won't remember you, you'll also forget. But if you actually do something more than treating a patient, you win the patient. And that helps. That helps because maybe you say कि वो charity patient हमारा practice में नहीं आएगा. आते हैं. It happens both ways. See, IOL has been such a boom success in India. We are a total outlier. If you see the GDP plotting of India, where are we? 148th rank. But our CSR is 7,000, almost close to US. There are very few countries who are, as we may more countries in Europe are below us. So just think how has these numbers gone there? It's because the CAM surgeries and the IOL, because of grassroots marketing. But that didn't happen with refractives. Why it didn't happen? Because that grassroots marketing of refractives was not there. In states which had dowry systems and other things, the marketing at that level went, because it always comes bottom up. Any concept, it comes bottom up, because that's where the majority of the opinion lies, majority of the people lie. So up to, I'll give you why I say 30 to 70 cataract OT, and then this, in the next 2 slides, I'll explain you. Say, after you have done 150 patients, then it's time for you to decide whether you want to have a second hospital or you want to have a tertiary care facility, like a lot of things, maybe a LASIK or something like that. So then you can go around those areas. Now see, always if you see what you charge for your practice, what do you charge for your practice? Are you in practice? Oh, yeah, in government. So, fine. Evening clinics? No?
Yes, we have evening.
You have evening clinics. There? How much do you charge to see a patient? Consultation charges? 500. So that is where you are. Your cost is 582. Is that your premises?
Yes.
So your cost is 582 rupees. No, you must know these details. You haven't worked with it. Like you have a secretary, you have somebody giving appointments, somebody cleaning the place, etc., the rent of the place, the electricity, everything. So everything costs, and I've just put a 150 for you, so that puts it at 582. So actually you are making 70 rupees only to see a patient. But yes, you are right. It should be 500, maybe even less, because everything starts from there. See, I had a patient who was, when I was practicing, started my career in an optical shop. So एक दिन एक आदमी आया, his name I'll later tell. So आके हमारे पास खड़ा हो गया. He was very modestly dressed. So he brought his mother for cataract surgery. Those days intracapsular is charged 600 rupees for cataract. So he heard that, went away. Then after 1.5 months he comes and he opens his feast on my table. 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, all in all 600 rupees. और डॉक्टर साहब आप क्या करना है? हमें वो नर्सिंग होम में मैं ऑपरेशन करता हूँ, जाओ मैं फ़ोन करके बता देता हूँ, भर्ती कर लेंगे. तो नेक्स्ट डे ही केम, उसके माता जी का ऑपरेशन हो गया. फिर आफ्टर विद दोज डेज वी यूज्ड टू एडमिट फॉर 2 days. 2 दिन फिर ही डिडंट कम. थर्ड डे ही अगेन अपीयर्ड. हाँ, माता जी को दिखता है, बहुत अच्छा है. I said fine. Then I asked him कि करते क्या आप, where were you 2 days? मुझे नहीं, मैं तो रिक्शा चला रहा था. So I couldn't think, कोई those days practice was not, not everybody used to practice. Most of them would work in government hospitals. So that was the norm in 85s. So then I asked him कि आप क्यों नहीं आए? आप क्यों नहीं खैराती में गए या गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में गए? वो नहीं, मेरे माता जी ने मुझे बहुत प्यार से बड़ा किया है, तो ऐसे खैराती में कैसे ले जाए? नहीं ले जा सकते. तो ठीक है. दैट मैन, there were so many rickshaw pullers, they didn't come to me, but that man came to me. And 25 years back, just 5 years back, I operated him with the topmost lens, whatever. बोले सब एकदम जितना है VVT सब लगा दो. So now he has a chain of auto rickshaws. So that's why I'm saying that don't miss that class. That something in between that Pakistan and sub-Saharan Africa. Don't exclude them out, because just over a period of time you're going to get them. And that's why I said focus on the NGO that you're working on, the government hospital. Even in your government hospital, this all you may say seniors boss मारते हैं, हमारा कुछ करने नहीं देते, ये नहीं देते, वो नहीं देते. But once you do, try win your patient. वो OPD में ही आपको सर्जरी नहीं मिलता है. Win the patient, and you will see things changing around you. Who leads that hospital? Who runs that hospital? The GDAs run the hospital. The people in the mortuary run the hospital. वो हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट नहीं चलाता है, प्रिंसिपल भी नहीं चलाता है, हॉस्पिटल मेडिकल सुपरिंटेंडेंट भी नहीं चलाता है. हमारे हॉस्पिटल कौन चलाते हैं? हमारे स्टाफ चलाते हैं. और जो हॉस्पिटल उसके स्टाफ वहाँ ऑपरेट नहीं कर सकते ना, वो हॉस्पिटल इतने नंबर्स नहीं कर सकते. That's a primary thing. Suppose you are in practice and charging 50,000 rupees, which is your base cost for cataract surgery. How can your staff afford that? So if your staff cannot afford that, just understand that you are doing 5 cases, you will continue to do 5 cases till the last day of your life. It's not going to change otherwise. Now see, how would you figure out? You can take a photograph of this slide. 3 साल में रिकवरी होना है, बाकी it can be the surplus on which you can replace the equipment if it is necessary after 6 years. But most of the equipment are sturdy enough to carry on to 10 years, so rest of it is surplus. And see, what are the value of economies of scale. Now, if you are 10, when I say for OCT, okay, so for every 10 patients you can order an OCT, but you can, if you charge 300 rupees, if you're charging 2,000 rupees, होगा नहीं, क्योंकि वो पर कैपिटा में फिट नहीं होता है, डेली पर कैपिटा में फिट नहीं होगा. आप 500 रुपया लोगे, उसके बाद फिर 2,000 रुपया का OCT करवाओगे, 500 रुपया लोगे, 300-400 रुपये OCT करोगे, 1,000 रुपया में आ जाएगा. वो दिन का कमाता है तो आँख के लिए एक दिन का कमाई वो दे सकता है. सो दिस इज द फंडामेंटल थिंग. सो And once you start doing that, no, then you see you also or your other consultants also, they become used to seeing the macula with optical coherence, not by a 90D. So, bring down cost of investigations. Machine है, run them. वो पैसा आ जाएगा और लोअर कॉस्ट में उसके बाद रेज कर सकते हैं. नहीं काम कर रहा है, फिनेंशियल टाइट है, तो यू कैन रेज, बट स्टार्ट गिव अफोर्डेबल थिंग्स, give low cost, these break these barriers. We do 1,90,000 1,90,000 OCTs, huh? 2.5 lakhs. So we see 12 lakh patients with 17 OCTs. So kitna profit है, just सोचो. You can do the maths. But we charge 300 rupees. We are raising it. This April, we'll be raising it. Shuncho. No, first do it. You are perfectly located. Break the barrier. That's how you compete with Netraland. He is in a fringe area, and Shagnik, Dr. Shagnik, is a lovely practice, and he'll tell you something about his practice. And it's in the fringe area of the Calcutta and the South 24 Parganas. After that, it's sea and Sundarbans. So he's in that fringe area. Now, see, when you are seeing 30 patients a day, the cost of the infrastructure and the lens, if you are putting a 2,500 rupee lens, is 11,000 rupees. So it doesn't make sense. You go to the surgery center. When you are having 100 patients, it becomes less. Usually a surgery center would be charging you 6,000 to 8,000 rupees. So, we have 106 consultants working with us full time. And most of them are 50% of them have been working for us for 20 years. 50% for another 10 years maybe. Or, that is the way of engagement. Now, why does it happen? Because we focus on these figures and we focus on practices like Shagnik's. कि अगर वो इतना ताम झाम करके क्या, where is he? Because see, philosophy is very simple. I'll do good and I want to earn a good living. इससे ज़्यादा complicate करना ज़रूरी नहीं है. I don't want to be a saint, because if I become a saint, there have to be priests to follow. अब saint को कौन follow कर सकता है? Priest ही follow कर सकता है ना. तब priest कहाँ मिलेंगे? Priest तो मिलेंगे नहीं. So it is better that you take risks and youngsters also take risks, but at the same time they should have the same quality of life. Then they might not be interested in doing what Shagnik is doing. So my task is to see that our consultants make as much money at their stage with their kind of reputation as they would have otherwise done in practice. Because economies of scale is always in our favor. The legacy is always in my building is free, my OCT has been long recovered. So those are my advantages. So how do you go around capitals if you are to start your own clinic? One is internal accruals is not the first point, because unless you start a business, how can money come? So we always grew mostly on internal accruals. Then you can get, if you have a property or security, you can always get, this is the cheapest form of loan. You can write a good project report and contribute something. Banks today, now there is enough liquidity, so you can get good loans at around 7 to 8, 9%, 10%. And of course, collaborations, as I was talking to you, that uh, I mean, somebody has more money or financial resource, you have more workforce, or you are full time. Probably he is part time in that locality, so he can invest in the practice. Why I say that investors should preferably be doctors, because uh, other angel investors, like even a promoter of a, there are complexes you must have seen where there's 2 floors commercial and then is residential. So as a promoters, they are small promoters. So unka kya hota hai, whatever their way of investing is ki I have done this property, I have this is my project, so at the end of it I'll keep 1 flat in the top, that is my saving, or a recurring income aana chahiye. So where from the recurring income comes, that comes from subletting the place. Now if you find that subletting that place is at 40 rupees a square feet or 50 rupees, which you cannot afford, you can talk to that investor and say, see, I cannot pay you 40 rupees, I will pay you 10 rupees, but I'll pay you, that risk you take, I'll pay you 5%, 7% of my top line. So probably he'll agree. So this is, by doing so, he becomes a partner to your practice, but that is a contracted thing till the agreement is available. Now when you are taking that, always when you are going for a practice location, always see that it is expandable. Is there more space? Because when you spend 5 years in a place, the place itself, beyond your identity, that place itself becomes an identity. Today Vasan has been acquired. Now there are people from south and they can say, what is the logic of Vasan being acquired? Because it's all gone. There's more trouble in Vasan than, but no, that structure is close to people's minds. वहाँ ऐसा हो रहा है, the bad story maybe is like that, कि a group of optometrists may be running the show, hiring some doctors, buying some lenses, running the show. But if all this is corrected, it can again come back, because some ophthalmic activity is happening. Maybe the owner has started eye, but because he doesn't know ophthalmic thing, he probably is not doing it well. So always think that there is sufficient place. This is one. Second, it must always be visible, because you cannot keep on marketing, keep on advertising, but if it is a visible property on the way to the station, everybody will remember ki there's an eye hospital, if I have any problem, I go there. So the day he has a problem, he comes. You can get people out of your this. So visible, and it must be close to, communicably accessible, close to the station and all that stuff. And of course, at later stage, when you are 100 crores, then venture capital will come to you. Venture capital meaning small funds which will come and you can monetize by selling your equity. They value you, and by valuing you, they buy your shares and do that. Then, of course, before IPO, you go to a private equity, bigger fund houses come, and eventually you go to become an IPO. Now these stories are important, because always whenever you start practice, you must think that you started an organization and it must have growth, because everybody else, you must be 35 when you started the practice, but a young boy of 20 has joined with you. He's probably filling up the prescription, doing some odd job, but then after 10 years he becomes 30 years, and or maybe after 15 years, and you become 45 or say 50, now if you go down, he goes down because he has nowhere to go. So there must be constant engagement and growth uh, for the organization. And perpetuity is obviously everybody's goal. Like what happens to Disha after the promoters are not there. So IPO things can come because it can be owned by the public and run by the public stakeholders. So this is our last thing that we are now going into a 3-acre, actually most of the construction civil work is done now. We have to start doing the interiors. Now why we did it? Because we had some funds. We are a private limited company and we had funds, so we went out and asked our doctors, our staff, what do you want, like how many more hospitals? We have 18 hospitals. So they said, I mean, when we have other health issues, then we don't know what to do and we are always in trouble. So it has the consents of all the stakeholders. The promoters have their consent, the staff, the doctors, and more importantly, the patients. They said, I know this low-cost model is not available in multi-speciality space. So we are hopeful we'll do well. This is in Newtown only. It's a walk away from the venue. You can, if you want have a morning stroll, you can go and pay a visit. So that's it from my side. Now if you have questions to ask, I'm very happy to answer. Mike's, how much time do we have?
2:20.
20 minutes we have. No, 15 minutes. Right.
भैया माइक दे दो जरा.
थैंक यू सर, आपने बहुत अच्छा बताया, हम लोगों को काफ़ी नॉलेज मिली. हम लोगों का, मैं एक गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हूँ और पिछले 7 साल से मैं गवर्नमेंट प्रैक्टिस पे हूँ. आई एम फ्रॉम उत्तर प्रदेश, बदायूं. वहाँ पे मल्टीपल सर्जरीज होती हैं. वी आर डूइंग मास सर्जरीज. हम लोग अब सोचते हैं कि हम अपना गवर्नमेंट सेटअप छोड़ के प्राइवेट सेटअप में आएँ, लेकिन दिमाग में 3 दुविधाएं होती हैं. एक यही सर कि एक गवर्नमेंट सेटअप में जब आप काम करते होते हो तो आपका एक कंफर्ट जोन बन जाता है और उसको ब्रेक करना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है जा करके, कि बिकॉज आप वहाँ पर. सेकेंड क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि सर जैसे हमारे यूपी में गवर्नमेंट योजनाएं चल रही हैं, लाइक आयुष्मान योजना एंड दिस एंड दैट, और वो बम्पर मात्रा में चल रही हैं एंड गवर्नमेंट इज प्रमोटिंग इट दैट अ हैवी लेवल की दैट एवरी सिटीजन हैज़ टू बी अ आयुष्मान कार्ड, और वो उसी से ऑपरेट कराना चाहता है. एंड द थिंग, थर्ड थिंग इज दैट कि जो हमारे आसपास के जो छोटे सेटअप्स हैं, जैसे तहसील हैं या गांव हैं, वहाँ पर ऑप्टोमेट्रिस्ट बैठे हुए हैं या फिर जो मीडिएटर्स हैं वो बैठे हुए हैं, एंड दे यूज टू डिसाइड द पेशेंट कि वो कहाँ पर जाएगा, बिकॉज दे नीड मीडिएशन एंड दे नीड कमीशन. तो इन सब चीज़ों को देख करके कई बार बड़ा हिम्मत टूटती है कि क्या करना है. What do you suggest?
You are saying how do you break this chain of events?
Sir.
See, my 3 other promoters, including our president, Dr. Samar Basak, was a lecturer in a medical college before they used to, Samar used to come in my private practice. He used to help me in his off time, like you also may be doing an evening clinic and practice. So, and don't aim to earn anything more than what your government job provides. You will find your answer. कि हम सरकारी नौकरी करते हैं, हमको 20,000 रुपया महीना मिलता है. अब हम प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, एंटरप्राइज है, तो हमको 5 लाख रुपया कमाना है. ऐसा अगर सोचोगे तो you will never break the ice. So what we did is, I had a handsome practice at that time, back in 97, 96. I was earning about 50 lakhs a year. Because I started implanting very early in 88. So I was finding that all my other friends who are my promoters and who are at that time, so they were not joining me, and I could understand the reason कि आपको जो दुविधा है वही दुविधा उनको भी था कि ये सिक्योरिटी, ये एनवायरनमेंट छोड़ के कैसे आएँ, और घर पे ये प्रॉब्लम और ज़्यादा था. द प्रॉब्लम वाज मोर एट होम. So I asked my wife that do you need all this? I mean, she always used to say, सुबह से रात तक तो आप काम ही करते रहते हो. So I said, ये सब आपको मज़ा आ रहा है क्या? मैं एकदम I'm not enjoying it at all. So I said, just I left it. And बोले कि देखो हम छोड़ रहे हैं, सब मिलके 10,000 रुपया महीने का काम करेंगे. Is it okay? Fine, okay. बस ऐसा ही है, छोड़ दो, सब हो जाएगा. Everything will fall in line. That's answering your first question. Now the second question, before you leave, you can take some preparations. Be the most popular doctor in your hospital. And but please don't base your hospital or your practice around government schemes. Government schemes are there. It might not be there tomorrow. You know, there were many hospitals which developed on RSBY schemes. But वो राष्ट्रीय स्वास्थ्य बीमा योजना, they are defunct hospitals now. So it is better to rely on the aspirations. देखो, if you segment the population, there are two kind of people. एक जो welfare के बिना उनका उपाय नहीं है, और कोई by habit welfare पे है, और दूसरा ग्रुप है कि वो हमारा स्टोरी जैसा था दीनोनाथ वाला, वो रिक्शा पुलर. सो दिस इज़ द अदर स्टोरी. एंड आज के दिन पे आप जानो कि एस्पिरेशन स्टोरी इज़ द स्टोरी. आज मोदी जी जीतेंगे ना, तो किस पे जीतेंगे? एस्पिरेशंस पे जीतेंगे. सो आई मीन द एस्पिरेशन स्टोरी इज़ द स्टोरी. एंड सी, welfare, India as a ascending country cannot conceive spending on welfare, health welfare. रास्ता बना सकते हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बन सकते, उस पर स्पेंड कर सकते हैं. I mean, these kind of things, there are a lot of other priorities. They cannot give health, though it may be a matter of 4-5 lakh crores. But to shell out that amount, currently we are spending, government is spending 1%. और आगे चल के भी हम इसका कुछ बड़ा, countries like Canada are in soup with their universal medical system. In Canada there was a system कि अगर आप कलकत्ते के हो, तो अगर आपको प्राइवेट मेडिकल हेल्थ केयर लेना है, तो आपको कलकत्ते के बाहर कहीं जाके साउथ 24 परगना में जाके ट्रीटमेंट करवाना है प्राइवेट डॉक्टर से. उसी जगह में नहीं कर सकते. दे यूज्ड टू डिस्करेज प्राइवेट सिस्टम टू दैट एक्सटेंट. बट अभी एक सीटी स्कैन का वेटिंग हो गया 1 महीना. व्हाट दे डिड नॉट कैलकुलेट इज द एजिंग पॉपुलेशन and so much of immigration. So, you know, in government systems, I mean, let us understand that welfare is probably not a solution for healthcare. Shagnik, please come. Tell us something about your practice. He has a practice of what? 20-30 patients a day?
Sir?
Idhar aaiye, come. And 2 doctors, 3 years in practice?
Sir, we are going to be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So that's the earliest moment. So here is story.
So basically, thank you so much, sir. Like I did not expect. Is it? Okay. I didn't expect to be called, but so our practice we just started 2 years back. It's going to be 2 years this April. And we are 2 doctors with we have a limited liability partnership LLP. We have a 50% partnership, and we started out with like only 5 or 6 patients per day OPD, and then as of now we are around 30 to 35 patients OPD per day, sir. And as I was just matching up to the charts which sir was explaining, we are doing around 50 to minimum 60 OTs a month as of now, sir.
Yeah, so that's 1,600 patients.
Yes, sir.
And
So we are doing around as you said, sir, like around
7 to 8%.
Yes, sir. So 50 surgeries a month. So we are doing around. Um, so now we are just. So we started, as sir said. When we started out with a very. We just wanted to scale up slower. We did not buy all instruments all at once because naturally we did not have the funding and we started from scratch. We did not have any investors. We took a little bit of loan. We put a little bit of our own thing, and so we are going slowly. It's a cataract, medical retina, and squint center. So we have.
Shy off to tell your income. That's no. I mean,
So-
finance is the biggest resource. We should shy away.
So-
Don't shy away from money.
So so we have not included a surgical retina yet because we have not got. We don't have much surgical retina patients yet. So we have not invested into surgical retina yet. So we try to. We have a fixed salary system. Me and my partner. So that is something so he sits for 3 days, I sit for 3 days. So it's like whatever, no matter what happens. As of now, we are just dividing the salary by 2 and keeping a little bit fund in the hospital development fund. First 1 year, we did not take any salaries. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Because we wanted our hospital to grow, sir. So first 1 year we did not take. But we are grateful. Our hospital is doing okay. As of now, we are like growing in bits and pieces. So,
How much do you your turnover in the end of the year?
So
No,
first,
I asked blunt
yes,
questions.
sir.
I've shared my balance sheet.
Sir. So first, yeah.
See, they will inspire.
Yeah, absolutely.
You inspire them.
First 1 year we did 1 CR.
1 crore.
Yes, sir.
So they had invested maybe 2 crores.
So we invested 1 CR.
1 year. See,
Yes.
100%.
We broke even.
yeah,
Like
broke even first year.
in first year. And since the last, so this is our second winter went off. So we
And
had.
they earn 20 lakhs, 20 lakhs.
Yeah.
Both of the doctors are 10 lakhs each they earn. Ask them.
Sir, no, sir.
Am I right?
It's a little, no sir, not so much. No, sir.
Just okay. No, 10, a year. A
Oh,
year.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. अभी देखो वो 20 लाख महीने पे आ गया. So that's what I'm saying, that you just consider your government salary, you'll do it.
So a lot of people, we were very hesitant initially because we took a very early plunge and we did not know, we didn't have any backing and all, but then it was a slow and steady rise. But you have to stick to it. And see, I think it's a little bit of all or none phenomenon. If you keep on thinking that, okay, I have a backup, and then I just feel, I tell all my juniors also, that if we have a backup and then if we are doing it on a, like, dekhte kaise hoga, and then, but our main concentration is in someplace else, then we'll never succeed. I feel that is something which you have to go a little bit.
What do you do the other 3 days?
Sir, 4 days basically I am there and 2 days I am at Fortis.
He is freelance.
Yes, freelancing.
So now see another thing, these are effective combinations. Like his infrastructure may be what about, as I can conceive, be about 1,200 square feet.
Yes.
600 for OPD and OT. That's a perfect arrangement, and actually he can, one doctor can, 2 doctors can work full time. One doctor can be in the theater, one can be in the OPD.
Yes.
And so, he can add actually three people more in this model of 3 days thing. So, try all these innovations. These they are the people who are innovating. सरकार को इतना टाइम नहीं हेल्थ पे इनोवेट करने का.
Thank
Yes,
you.
any more questions? I think your question is well answered. और वो बाकी वाला I can't answer कि वो आप कमीशन वाला क्या करोगे वो I can't answer.
Thank you. I am Sanat Kumar, third year postgraduate from MAMC. So I have, sir, 3 questions to ask. First of all,
If the time is up, just tell time is up.
first of all, the figures that you've given and the knowledge, of course, sir, that you have, that this is the cutoff of expenditure you should have and all. do you advise any kind of formal education for us to start any form of business? Because ultimately,
No, see, contact with people like Shagni. It is no rocket science, and you need not do a lot of financial calculations. This is simple arithmetic only. And do come to us or contact people with some experience. They have gone through the journey. So to start a practice, contact them. At every level, engage with your peers at that level, and they can give you very valuable input. Nahi yaar, those unnecessary management courses will confuse you. I am not pro that.
and second of all, what is the level of training after which you will advise entering into a private practice? Like we are postgraduate residents, so what will be your recommendation?
No, you must be able to win patients. Win patients. You must be, surgically and, of course, in comprehensive care.
So can I add?
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit on that. That first question you said about the management courses thing. So we have like a very dear friend Priyansha. She also did this thing. She has her own center there, and Durgapur. She's doing very well. We have like, I did not take any formal courses from a business perspective, but when you're starting your own center as like a person who just started since like 1.5 years, 2 years, we learn so much when you're doing on your own, no? So I have learned about, like I had zero idea. I learned about property law when I went to get the license. I learned about finance. I sit with my CF friends and then I tell them, please samjhao kya karna hai, and then because we have no idea about, and trust me, in 6 months I almost did a crash course of an MBA thing. So that is like, these are small things which you, am I right, sir? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And when you are taking some hard decisions,
yes.
Rental property कहाँ से लेंगे या CA कौन होगा, तो keep your better half by your side. You do the talking, and then you go out and ask her whether should I keep him or her. Whatever she says, do it. No, because they read all the non-verbals. We do the verbals, right? Priyanksha, share something. She has opened a hospital, what about 500 meters from Durgapur Disha. She's opened in, I think, 22. We are a very strong brand there. We see 1,000 patients there, operate almost equal, say 70-80 patients every day. So she started a practice. Bolo?
Yes, so it is very scary to since 2013 Disha Durgapur was there, and we started our practice there. And a few things I just want to say, that you make up your mind what kind of a clinic, hospital, or at what scale you want to start your practice, whether you want to do government job or you want to start a practice. We were all trained in Sushrut Eye Foundation, so our surgical skill was 100%, where me and Sagnik both branched out at the same time. So surgical skill has to be at 100 before you even think about it. Envision your clinic. It can be large, small. You might be wanting to compete with Disha. I could have started as a normal single practice chamber also, but we have other doctors in our chamber. And shutter roads, kholo roads, band karo, you are going to make it. There is no question. You cannot not make it. I made it, Sagnik has made it, everyone we know in our practice is making it, but aapko roz wahan pe dedicatedly jana padega, wahi karna padega. You cannot lose focus and you cannot get disheartened.
For the youngsters, yes. I'll tell you one thing. Just anybody in the hall who has opened a practice and has closed it. You have? Okay, some place, but you done well, or you joined a service? Okay. So, how about whatever you want to share? Why did you close down? What happened? Little bit. These are good takeaways for all of us. You must know the other side also.
Basically, before, till June last year, I was in the state government where practice is allowed in Bihar. So I had my clinic, I had my own clinic. It's 480 square feet. And I've expanded
you were in state government and you had a private clinic.
Yes. And obviously I was there only for 2 hours a day because I didn't want to, people bunk their state government jobs and they sit in their private practice. I did not want to do that. I was there full time and during my duty hours. And after my duty hours, I used to sit for 2 hours. And obviously it is situated in a very good locality, as you were saying. It should be visible and things like that. It is visible. I had a fairly sophisticated clientele, but then I decided to join the central government, and then I'm now an additional professor at AIMS Patna. So that is a non-practicing job. I just gave it
How
up
about
with
you?
the swing. He's my son.
Okay.
So, a little detail.
No, there's one one caveat to this story. It was not a full-time engagement. वो शटर खोलना बंद करना नहीं था. कोई शटर खोलता था. हाँ, तो वो नहीं. Commitment उस level पे जाना चाहिए कि it's a do or die thing. Yeah.
Sir, say when we have a private practice and for two things about instruments. Firstly, at what stage do you decide that you don't want to refer the patient outside to get a test done and instead buy the machine yourself? Secondly, once the first question was about whether to refer a patient or buy the machine for secondary investigations, say an HFA, an OCT. And secondly, once we are starting out, is it smarter to say invest in a brand new machine versus a second-hand machine, or it really is a call for the surgeon?
Yeah, it's okay. Like one thing I would say that to begin with, it's a clinic, so there you don't need much of an equipment. It's just a slit lamp, indirect, and auto ref and that kind of stuff. So that is within 10 lakhs, that premises. The second buy should be a OCT today, anytime. And there are brands for 20 lakhs, you get very good OCTs. Don't go for second-hand stuff, because unless you know that which equipment or whose equipment you are buying. So like buying a second-hand car, you must know about the history of the car. Otherwise, you might be in trouble. Don't buy it from the company. If the company is giving you a refurbished, don't go for it, because you might have surprises. But they won't give you warranty, all that. Always negotiate a 5 years CMC with them, even if it costs something more, because at that point the company is eager in that transaction. After the major part of the transaction is done, then they don't want to, they may not be as loyal to the commitment. That is the best time you can bargain out. So I think we are almost done, and thank you for, I hope I could make up something which Senthil could not. He could not come because of his urgent family commitments. I personally had a lovely time with you, so thank you very much.